morning once again. Well, today, of course, COVID-19 is still very much in the air, but let's look at aspects of it. And we're going to touch on the local flight controversy in Rivers State. You know all about that. The governor of Rivers State took a very, very dim view of a helicopter belonging to Caverton actually flying, you know, as it was put over their airspace, in particular into the Air Force base there, landed and discharged passengers. And so the government and indeed the judicial system over there are not taking it lightly. As we speak, before you could say, as they say, I was going to say, before you could say Jack Robinson, maybe I should find a local name. Which one is Jack Robinson? But in a flash, these guys were arraigned. And while they were still making representations, this must be a horrible mistake. We have this approval, we have this permission, we have this, we have that. They were arraigned. And the court has actually remanded them in custody pending when the matter shall come up again. Of course, the federal government is also coming on this. But again, let me first of all get my colleague, Cyril. Cyril, as we say locally, put him out.
Well, I will start by saying that it's unfortunate we've come to this pass. It's a sorry pass. But...
Wait.
Yes.
COVID-19, restriction of movement. So, Port Harcourt has its regulations. And it feels that, why will you bring people over the border, into our state when we have the situation? By the way, we wanted to get them at all so that we could have their perspective, but they're telling us that it's a matter that's in court, so we don't want to talk. But I just wanted to bring out the whole matter about every governor is responsible, perhaps, for safety within his region. So please continue after that.
Okay, let me even begin by taking a quote from the Rivers State governor, if you'd allow me.
Okay, please.
Yes, I think he said, while federal agencies reserve the right to issue flight permits to airline operators to fly into Rivers State, we insist that the state government must equally be informed and taken into confidence in the process. The only way to avoid suspicion, conflict of interest, and unnecessary bickering between the state and federal governments in our collective efforts to combat the spread of COVID-19 in the country.
Okay. And I particularly noted what you're attributing to him the expression unnecessary bickering.
So ostensibly, the Rivers State government would not inhibit the federal government from discharging its roles in fighting COVID-19. If you look at the constitution...
If they are carried along.
Of course. If you look at the constitution, I think the second schedule to the constitution lists the items on the exclusive list. And aviation is number 3 on the list. Number 1 is talks about accounts of the government of the federation and offices of courts, authorities, and so on. Number 2 talks about arms, ammunition, and explosives. Number 3, that is to tell you how serious and how important aviation is. Again, Mr. President, in his broadcast 2-3 weeks ago now, I think that Sunday evening, he said that certain categories of people would be allowed to move. Some of us are here because of that window of liberty. The media, medical people, people in the oil and gas sector, etc., etc., etc. Nobody questions that at all. But the interesting thing is two. Number 1 is the fact that at the time this arrest was effected, and from the stories we had, the helicopter company involved began to say, look, we have this document, we have this clearance, we have this document. They were taken to court. And that even in court, they also tendered those documents. I was wondering that if the Ministry of Aviation issued those papers, and the NCA also issued its own clearances, how come we didn't hear any story about an intervention that was being made? Uncle Yori? So you're assuming I went to a place,
yes, yes.
Okay, and they denied me entry.
Yes.
I would call my office and say, Asoko James or Stella Dean or so on, I am here where you sent me to, and I've been denied access. What do I do? The police commissioner that spoke with the governor reports to an IG in Abuja. Okay, that Air Force base is federal territory, for crying out loud. So there is a lack of communication somewhere. And if you ask me, I saw the Minister of Aviation threatening fire and brimstone in Abuja yesterday. If you know Governor Wike very well, you know that he will not back down. So why don't these people come together and look for a political solution? I think a simple phone call or simple, issue of, okay, oh boy, leave them now, this is what we're trying to do, would have resolved this issue. But as it is today, there's a lot of blame game.
Okay, but indeed we shall get to the, well, we shall dive into this matter.
Sure, we will.
We might not be able to get into the. We might not be able to actually get to the bottom of it, but we shall look at it, as you know. And let me just quote the other side. The president, I beg your pardon, the Hadi Sirika, the Minister of Aviation, has said that we approve those flights and that we have the authority to do so. This whole matter of aviation is on the exclusive list. There was no need whatsoever, I mean, there was a reason for us approving those flights. And so they even actually criticized the Air Force. And so the Air Force officer who jumped the commander-in-chief
and
ignored, who also ignored, and who jumped the chief of air staff and ignored to call a governor to come. So this is now a very, very deep matter, right? This is a very deep matter.
It is.
But
and
let's not say it all by ourselves, but because there are other experts that are also watching all of this. For instance, being able to join us today, and we're grateful for that, is aviation expert Group Captain John Ojukutu. Good morning, Captain, Group Captain.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Thank you very much for calling in. This is Yori Folaning alongside Cyril Abaku. These are COVID-19 days. We don't see our face anymore.
Yeah, I can see your face.
Well, actually, I can see your face, but your face is the more important one here. So thank you very much for joining us, Group C. What do you think of this whole matter? It seems on one level very, very simple, but maybe what's your take on it?
I think what really happened at Port Harcourt yesterday was a very unfortunate incident that has kind of exposed this country to some kind of ridicule outside the country. That the River State government went to the airport to arrest people was what we had. And to me, I think that was uncalled for, given some of the information that are available, which I read yesterday, that there had been a letter written by the governor himself to the commissioner of police based on the requirements, based on the formal letter from the operators to them. And he wrote a letter to the commissioner of police and to his health workers to go to the airport to await the arrival of that flight. That was what I read from the press release in Port Harcourt yesterday. But that he had now to leave his office to go to the airport to do what he has already delegated people to do in the airport is what I get worried about. Number two, the airport is an entity of a national security assets. Airports all over this country, be it military, be it civil, are important assets to national security. And each airport in this country has security programs. These security programs does not include, and I repeat, the security program does not include any state governor to go in. What I saw happened yesterday, or day before yesterday, was an invasion. Was an invasion of a security, of a national security asset by an unauthorized person.
Okay.
By an unauthorized person. What most of these governors do not understand that irrespective of the airports in their area, including state airports, if they want the federal government to operate into that airport, they must subject the security of the airport to the federal government. Because the security program of every airport in this country is based, domiciled with the International Civil Aviation Organization. And nobody, like I said, nobody, not even the minister, will violate the security program of any airport. If you can recall, during the time of Obasanjo, a minister of aviation who violated it at MMA was turned back by the British Airways. He violated the screening process to enter an aircraft. The British crew turned him down, and nothing happened till today. I think what will I say? The governors need to learn one or two things. If there is a law, if there is a local law on COVID, put it on the road. Let it be on the road. Let it not enter the airport. Because the moment you enter the airport, you are violating a national aviation security program, which you are not entitled to. There is no concession to that.
Okay.
One other thing I keep saying, and we must note, is that most of our governors go about with the idea that they are the chief security officer of the state. I think the National Assembly and everybody need to look into that very seriously.
Indeed.
We have to look at it because we need to go back and get the Attorney General to do their job outside the government. I mean, outside the administration of those that are running the government. Because for as long as the Attorney General, who is supposed to advise the governor based on the law that is existing, either state or national, they are not doing their job. They would rather support the governor. Number two, I don't know, I haven't read the Constitution up to that level where you have State Security Council other than the National Security Council. And I think what really happened that is making this thing to go round and round, based on what I heard the Minister of Aviation said yesterday, that the commander of the base, who is supposed to be the responsible authority of that airport, who probably was, or not was, is a member of the State Security Council, who have relaxed the security of his airport for the governor to come in and violate. For me, that is a serious matter that has to be looked at a national level. Because when you look at what happened, from the way I looked at what happened yesterday, I mean, day before yesterday, and what we have been talking since yesterday till today, I see it like a trend that there are copycats outside that are looking at, that will start copying. We have seen it. We have seen so many experiences like that before in the past.
Yeah.
We have seen it. What, if you remember the case of Amechi, before this government came into operation, how he was refused not by law, because the aircraft he was using has all the documents and everything, how he was refused by some power up there at that time from flying. And he found his way to fly from that place to Akure, if you remember very well, and the aircraft was seized, put on the ground there, and the man was looking for a way to get out of Akure in those days. These are things, these are political differences that we are bringing into national security, and we have to be very careful about it.
Okay.
We just have to be very careful because, like I said, there are copycats. I remember the time the Boko Haram entered Maiduguri Airport. Nobody knew. And they messed up with the Air Force aircraft. There was another incident when somebody broke through the gate of Calabar Airport and drove straight under the an aircraft that was boarding for takeoff in Calabar. We have seen cases of forces from outside. Murtala Mohammed Airport is an example, where some people in custom uniform carrying guns said they have one duty or the other to do in the airport, and they broke through the airport into the airport.
Okay, then. Without
the knowledge of the resident custom officer in that airport. These are things that are getting people like us worried that if those who call themselves the chief security officers in the state are breaking national security, there are copycats outside that are looking at them that are going to do exactly what they have done, what Wike has done now.
Okay, then.
So we must be very careful.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Group Captain John Ojukutu, for giving us your perspective on the matters. Really appreciate your calling us.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, just in case anybody is just joining us, the authorities in River State arrested 2 pilots, Caverton helicopter pilots, because, according to the point of view of the River State government, for flouting the government's COVID-19, regulations for flying unknown persons into the airport. Now, the aircraft landed in the base there, the Air Force base here. The minister has commented and has said that what has happened displays, paraphrasing the minister, a dangerous level of ignorance, both on the part of the commander, or the Air Force commander there, commandant, is it commandant? But you know what I mean, the big...
Service commander.
There.
The service commander.
In River State.
At the Air Force base.
And the police, because he led the governor to the base. He brought the attention of the governor, I believe, to the whole matter. And the police themselves, the police that effected the arrest, I don't know. Well, the minister has been quiet about the judicial, about the court's aspect in all of this. But the courts have not taken the view. Let's just say they took a dim view. Because whereas they were making representations that, look, we have all the necessary approvals, bar none. Court said, in the meantime, just go to custody there till when I come back. Now, to put a bit more perspective on all of this, Uche Okoro of TVC News, he has a package on it that we put out earlier. Let's play that package for you again.
Governor Nyesom Wike signed an executive order for the closure of all markets, land and sea borders, and suspension of all flights on the 19th of March. Since then, compliance and enforcement of this order has remained controversial as many residents lament that the borders are still very porous. Now, these two pilots working for a private helicopter company may become the first casualties of the state government's determination to keep the people safe. Acting on intelligence, they were arrested for flying expatriates into Rivers State. The pilot and co-pilot were immediately brought before a magistrate court where they faced a 4-count charge of conspiracy, disobedience to lawful order, and breach of peace. The court remanded them at the Port Harcourt Correctional Centre till 19th of May for commencement of trial.
They have been remanded in prison custody and the matter has been adjourned till 19th May 2020 to enable the court to consider their bail application and for us to open our prosecution.
Reacting to the development at the Rivers State Police Command Headquarters, Governor Nyesom Wike says he is ready to testify against the accused persons and others. But before trial, the priority of government now is to ascertain the health status of the helicopter's passengers.
Please, in the name of God, this matter should be treated seriously. And I am willing to be. I have to remove my immunity as far as this matter is concerned. I'm ready to be a prosecutor witness. I will not allow this matter to go free. The Attorney General is here, and of course, you know the seriousness of it.
Ironically, the helicopter company operates within the premises of Nigerian Air Force in Port Harcourt. So how the pilots still managed to land and their reason for the action are some of the many questions for the police to answer.
This aircraft landed without any signal or permission from the authority. We don't know their mission here. Maybe they are coming here to sabotage the activities of the state and the security agencies that have put everything on the ground.
The Magistrate Court behind me here also ordered that all 10 passengers of the aircraft be remanded in any government facility to enable medical personnel carry out tests to ascertain their coronavirus status. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Okay, then. Okay, so that's the report we put out day before yesterday. You heard the police commissioner there in Rivers State saying inter alia that the aircraft landed without any signal and
permission,
and without any permission.
To quote him.
To quote him. Now, what we should do is that let's listen to the Minister of Aviation, who has since spoken on this whole matter. That's apart from the body of the story itself, which says that, in fact, Caverton helicopters and others, by the way, the minister has since revealed, not just Caverton, and others, have been given, a concession and that they can land. And Caverton, speaking about Caverton for now, they have multiple levels of approval. However, it wasn't enough. As I said, let's hear the minister.
Civil aviation is on exclusive list item number 3 there. So no other person but the federal government has authority to legislate upon. So also the Nigeria Air Force, part of armed forces, is also on exclusive list. There's no other person but the federal government that has the legal right to legislate upon. So the Air Force officer who jumped the commander-in-chief and ignored, who also jumped the chief of defense staff and ignored, who jumped the chief of air staff and ignored, to call a governor to come into the property of the federal government belonging to Nigeria Air Force to make an arrest, has exhibited dangerous ignorance and incompetence grossly. So the police that followed the governor also to go in there has also exhibited dangerous ignorance from our perspective in civil aviation. Whether we gave approval for the flight, yes, we did. And we did in national interest. All of those flights are for the purposes of improving the national revenue, to which Rivers State is the greatest beneficiary.
Okay, so you heard the minister, Cyril, maybe tomorrow, but for now, the minister is Senator Hadi Sirika. You heard him there. Couldn't have been clearer. And then he used that expression, dangerous ignorance. Okay, we're going to open the phone lines because we do want to talk about this and see what your perspective is. You've heard the governor saying that, please, this must be taken very, very seriously, indicating to us that, and to everybody that, maybe people are not understanding this whole thing. Maybe they're not. It's a very, very serious affair. But then, here we are. The minister has referred to the whole, affair as, an example of dangerous ignorance. Mm-hmm. Because if the police commissioner there in River State was saying they landed without any signal and without any permission, yet Caverton, the Council for Caverton has, I understand, after first of all showing them that they had all the permissions as they claim, and then that not being satisfied, they were arraigned. And indeed, I don't understand how showing those permissions again wouldn't suffice, but that they were still remanded in custody. So all of this is not a joke anymore, which goes back to what the governor said there, that please, this should be taken seriously. We just want to hear. We have Christopher calling in from Warri. Good morning, Christopher.
Good morning, Uncle Yoli, and your gentleman there, Cyril.
Cyril Abaku, thank you very much for calling in, sir.
You see, Uncle Yoli, there is one fundamental problem average Nigeria is having. What happened in Rivers State is just show to tell you the kind of cannibal of men we are putting in a public office. Everybody has his role to play when it comes to a national pandemic such as COVID-19. The president has given a broadcast, giving some people who are engaged in essential service, mm-hmm. which is big practice all over the world. Mm-hmm. So if somebody like the chief of the Controller General in that Nigeria Air Force Base, who's supposed to know the in-out security measures, and the commissioner of police in that state, because what is playing out in Rivers, not only Rivers, other states, most of those people, they do what they call overnight oversight with the governors of these states. Those things play out during election time. You see it. Most of the governors, any commissioner they cannot work with, they cannot be posted to their state. All the attorney general in those states, they must be yes sir to that governor, or else it cannot be work. So please, I want everybody to know that Nigerian government is recognized by law. President Muhammadu Buhari is the custodian of every Nigeria. Nobody will call Nyesom Wike if anything happens in Nigeria. The president we call is President Muhammadu Buhari. So when things like this happen, let all these governors drop it. Wike have said that he's going to drop his immunity. Now he's going to testify. He's going to be a witness. I pray when that day come, let it come. I testify because he's leaving his office to come and testify to agree that he's going to drop his immunity. Look at Delta State here, where we are living. The governor shut down the border. There was not having any death case. He shut the border for the past 8 days. Yesterday, day for yesterday, you are telling Delta that there is a death case in Delta. When is that person pass to enter Delta State? How come you are recording a COVID-19 patient in Delta after you shut the border? You see, all these things they are doing is politics.
All right.
Because every state in Nigeria that doesn't record this COVID-19, if they are looking at it, that you will not be able to share for the national cake. That is what they are doing now. So we should be very careful when we are dealing with such things like this kind of pandemic. Thank you. God bless you in Lagos.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Christopher, for calling in on that. On one level, it shouldn't be a controversy, but it has become one because Governor Wike wishes to push this matter the entire length of the way. And as you heard Christopher remembering there, has gone as far as saying that if need be, he will actually, let go of his immunity so that he can testify in the matter, which means he believes in his cause. But what cause is it? What is the cause that he believes in?
You see, in a manner of speaking, if there was, that is, assuming without conceding, if there was indeed a breakdown of communication between the Air Force Base and Abuja, the governor himself, understanding the role he plays in the state, could have intervened, not by making arrests, but by kickstarting a clarification process. This flood that has come in.
Although it is, we must say that the governor didn't make an arrest. The police made the arrest.
Okay, fine. Yes, but in a manner of speaking,
okay, yeah, I understand.
He too could have initiated that clarification process, but he chose to go the other way. So now here's the issue. The issue now is...
Could I just get Abu? And please remember where you got to so we can continue from there. Good morning, Abu in AKOKA.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Okay. You see, like, I just listened to both of them and what we see on television. What I see there is just power play. Despite that, the president have announced a broadcast, and the hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, the aircraft, like the commissioner of police there confessed, no signal at all. You see, it is a dangerous signal, and the governor there's somebody in charge of that state. Nothing spoiled by putting a call and say, governor, sir, or my brother, or my friend, 30 crack is coming, or 30 people like this is coming. So that he will be aware, whether signal or not signal. All these things, going there, no signal, we have given the express approval, this and that, is to prolong issue. What I see there is just, like the moderator said, lack of communication. Awesome. So my own personal opinion is that the aviation minister supposed to have put a call across to the person in charge of that state, and even the commissioner of police. Right, what he confessed just now, that no signal, nothing. That is a threat to the security of that place. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I see it. Thank you.
I want to thank you very much, Abu, for calling in.
So from my summation of events, I would think that a breakdown of communication.
Yes, and this breakdown the minister referred to as dangerous ignorance. He said the police that followed the governor in there to make the arrest also exhibited a dangerous level of ignorance.
You see, the point is that it sounds hyperbolic to me when my governor says that they brought that these people could bring coronavirus to River State. It's a bit on the high side. But assuming something of that nature had happened, Nigerians would have been blaming the Air Force Base, would have blamed everybody involved. My take is that since where a breakdown of communication has brought us to this point, I think a build-up of communication can restore us to order. But first of all, both parties, as it were, now have to shield, now have to yield some ground and come to a middle point. The reality is that we are fighting COVID-19. The governor is going to that place. I was fighting COVID-19. The federal government said those people have gone there so that while fighting COVID-19, the nation's coffers don't go dry.
Yes, right.
We are fighting COVID-19.
Because we're in an emergency.
We're in an emergency. So how in an emergency, what the life of an emergency is communication. And so I think that if the federal government is fighting COVID-19, the government is also fighting COVID-19, why can't we come to a middle point so that the war on COVID-19 does not become the casualty to the virus of ego, to the virus of power, to the virus of whose word will hold sway. As I speak to you, Uncle Yori, in Rivers State, the government has declared Caverton helicopters personnel non-grata. They've asked them to leave. They didn't just do that. They have informed all the local government chairmen to make sure that they don't. This sort of thing, it doesn't help anybody. So where you don't have people to convey emergency or logistic things from one point to another, who suffers? They are talking about communication that the president made a broadcast. It is not enough. I have my ID card in my pocket. Every morning I come out, policemen ask me, who are you, where are you going to? I show my ID card. My ID card is what gives me the right to enable the police and enforce what the president has said. Mm-hmm. So that because the president give an order and so a plane can fly without signal, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, we've reached into River State officials to also get their latest position, because I imagine it's an evolving, shifting kind of a matter. But they weren't too keen, saying that it's a matter that is already in courts. I believe we have Chris. Did I get that right? Is there Chris on the line? Yes, indeed, there is Chris on the line in Amuwo, Dauphin. Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, good afternoon, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much. We're still about an hour away from afternoon, but I get it.
Hello.
Welcome. Please go ahead. Oh dear, did the line get crossed? Because someone else also had said hello while we were talking with Chris. Chris, are you still there? Now, I think we lost Chris and someone else tried to get in. See if you could get back in, Chris. It's clear that, well, people have alluded to the fact, but the lines of communication have maybe something a bit like what just happened to us. You know, where we were going to speak to Chris, and then suddenly we couldn't hear Chris, and then we heard someone else say hello, and now even that one we're not here again. And so we're now waiting for another signal.
The analogy is that when Chris calls in or any other person calls in, the first thing they do is to say, I am so-and-so person calling from here. Yeah. Then we let him in. Yes. You perhaps wouldn't let an unknown caller just call him because you wouldn't know what the person is going to say.
Indeed. Well, it's an interesting point you made. Not that we know what anybody is going to say. Let me just put it there.
For quality control, for all kinds of things.
Yeah, but about that last example you made, it's important for us to say that we don't know what anybody is going to say once they're calling. So we operate on good faith, and that everybody out there is what lawyers refer to sometimes in the context of, they talk about right-thinking members of society. So we imagine that everybody who calls in is going to be a right-thinking member of society. Now and again, you know, we find we've stepped on a banana peel and quickly do as much as we can to correct the situation. Abdul, well, I can't see.
From ALAPERE.
Okay, good morning, Abdul from ALAPERE. Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning.
Yeah, and my guest in the studio.
Good morning, sir.
To start with, sir, I want to crave your indulgence.
Please.
If you oblige me. I believe the governor, His Excellency of that state, is in tune with the federal status. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, is in tune with the federal status. His Excellency, the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, gave authorization for essential services. Essential is underlined. The word essential is there. The aircraft landing in Nigerian Air Force do not need police permit, police signal. There is no aircraft that will give police a signal that they are landing. Let an aviation expert explain to you, sir, or to us. They will not give police a signal for landing. They have the signal within the Air Force base there. Like the earlier caller said, and like they said, the minister said, the commander in charge of that base has done an ignorant mistake, I mistake, for allowing the state government encroach in a federal property, regardless of the fact of whatever is going on, COVID-19 or not COVID-19. The federal government will not sabotage the state government. There's high security measure within the base of the Nigerian Air Force. Nothing will go wrong there. And I'm telling you this emphatically. The governor is extremely wrong and will be everly wrong. Let him go and testify under the dropping his immunity or whatever he's dropping. He will still be wrong. That is a federal property. Yes, he's the custodian of his state. There's an aircraft coming in. He has a signal. Do your investigations. Who are they? Now, secondly, let me take you to the judge that sent those two captains to prison. It's unfair. They were in active line of their duty. Those guys should not be remanded in prison. They can pass bail condition. Let Caverton can produce them if the court wants them. They are still serving. It's unfair. These people were doing, they are serving. They are still active in service. And you remanded them in prison. These are family heads. As we speak, it's a shame to that state.
Yeah.
To the judge who knows the law. You now remanded those guys in prison where you know you can perfect their bail terms and conditions within 24 hours. You said they should go and rest in prison till May. Who does that? You can see now all these governors we have in this country, they take themselves as semi-gods.
All right.
We should worship them.
Yeah.
We should go back to our constitution and try and check lots of powers given to these people. How can you just walk into a federal, let them brief you. Who are you, the governor, to work into the federal facility? Let them brief you. They will brief you. You can't just go into access the federal facility. Let them brief you. The same thing happened to, what's it called? General Lucia. Please, let me just take this. Let me crave your indulgence. That video that went viral concerning Zacchaeus Adangor, the man was reporting to his head, the chief of army staff. But that video went viral and the guy was redeployed for no reason.
Yeah.
This is unfair. It's unfair. Let's take this from here. If not, things will keep going wrong in Nigeria. Thank you. God bless you.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Abdul, for calling in. And also, Cyril, look, when there are contentions between parties, that's what the courts are for. That's what the courts are for. That the court has seen it in this way, they know what they're doing. They operate according to the law. But there is a separation of powers, and that's why sometimes when any of the three levels, when they have issues, the court will come in and pronounce. Sometimes the courts can rule against the president. Sometimes it happens. It happens in America. It could happen here. A court can rule against a governor. I believe, remember in Lagos here, it's a totally different scenario. But a court actually ruled that what was that Operation Clean Your House, or that where we close down on a particular Thursday? Somebody took the court to the case, the environmental sanitation. Somebody took the government to court and it won. So here, I don't know. I don't want to go there, but that the court actually fell in with the line of thinking of the government, again, might be something that people might be considering.
Now,
maybe it's a coincidence.
Academically speaking, one could say there's a clash between public interest and national interest. I don't want to go into all of that. Barring any major judicial upheaval.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but it's easy to do when you're when we're together here. Abdullahi, is it in Kaduna? Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Abdullahi.
Yeah, well, let me chip in what the government do. Sincerely speaking, I'm not happy the way that the Rivers State government do. Those people, they cannot lie on their own. They were trained. So you have to take the evidence that who sent you. And even the court judge, why did you remind them? Innocent people, for God's sake, sent by the Minister of Aviation. And then the governor ignore what the minister said. Why are you treating to ourselves? Injustice in Nigeria. The governor it's not good to remind a family people in the cell. For God's sake, please, we beg you, please. You have to release innocent people.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullahi, for calling in.
There were two trials two cases at Magistrate Court yesterday. One was in Lagos here, where Babatunde Gbademosin and Ramali and Co. were charged before a magistrate court because of the birthday party they attended at Funke, Akindele Bello's house.
Yes.
The other was in Port Harcourt, Magistrate Court. What happened in Lagos? The state government withdrew the charges. In fact, they were not even arraigned. I was saying that barring any major dramatic judicial upheaval, the simplest and smartest way to end this whole brouhaha is for the state government to withdraw the charges. It is easy to, by this morning alone, the discussion could have been entirely different. This ego punching, and it won't take anybody anywhere.
Because one wonders what the point is that the state government wants to make. One doesn't want to jump in on either side of the story, but you probably say what you just did with that kind of a comment. But what the issue is that is military property. That's a military asset right there. The federal government says, speaking through the minister, that look, first of all, Rivers State was going to be the major beneficiary of the permission that they have granted.
According to the minister.
According to the minister, he says those flights were approved lawfully and legally, and I'm quoting directly. So we will do everything lawful and legal and reasonable to get those pilots back, and the operations will continue in the national interest, because they believe, the federal government, speaking through the minister, say they were right. But let me take someone else who's come on the line. Prince, I believe. Yeah, Prince in EGBEDA. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning, Uncle. How are you?
Very well. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yes. The first contribution I want to make in this issue of River State issue is that, one, in that state, there is somebody who is in charge. And that person in charge must be carried along in whatever that wants to happen in the state.
Okay.
You don't just fly in state government, federal government property. Let's assume something happened in that state without the governor knowing. They will say that the governor is negligent, is not doing his job very well. You are flying a federal government property into a state where there is a governor who is the principal security of that state.
Well, it wasn't federal government property. It was a private,
It's a federal government property, but in that state,
it was Caverton.
The helicopter is going. There is somebody in charge of that state. And I believe where things are done in a very good and absolute manner, that people do things properly. You inform the governor, hello, my good friend, this is so from Abuja, please, we are sending so helicopter into your state. Alpha 234, Romeo 2, whatever they want to use that is analog to decode the coming in of the helicopter, the governor should be briefed. So this one, is it the minister of is saying is it? That is doing it. He's just talking eye service work. Look at what is happening in America. Whatever Como is doing, he's the governor of New York. Whatever Trump wants to do, Trump will go through him and ask him what is happening, because he is the chief secretary of that state. What Wike did is what every other governor will do. Let's assume they come to bomb River State, and at the end of the day, succeeded in bombing River State without giving the governor signal. The police commissioner is not aware. Nobody is aware. Who will be whole responsible? Is it not the same governor they are blaming now?
Yeah.
Let us call it spade and stop politicizing these issues in this our country. That is why we are not going anywhere. No matter what we do, no matter what we talk on television, no matter what TVC do, all the whole thing you are talking on Kiyemi, they hear it but you face on deaf ear. Okay, you are a father, you have a house. Somebody is coming to your house without letting you know that it's coming. And it bypass you to enter your house to come and do something harmful. How will you take it? Are you not the one who is responsible as owner of that house?
Okay.
You are there when that person enter now. That is the truth about the River State issue.
All right.
Then secondly, Uncle Yemi, please, I'm hearing there is public holiday Friday and Monday.
Yes, correct.
Please, federal government should carry 200 people, million people in Nigeria along. Let us know this public holiday, are people allowed to travel and come back after Monday, then Tuesday or Wednesday they start their lockdown, or how? That is how it's done in other countries in the world. They brief their citizens, come from so-so to so-so time, don't do this, don't do this. Are we on total lockdown, even throughout the Christmas, the Easter period? Okay. Let us know. If by Friday, people are allowed to travel, till Monday, maybe from Tuesday they start the lockdown. A lot of rumors are going up and down, so that let us not go and listen to rumors. At the end of the day, government will say they did not announce anything like that.
Thank you very much, Prince. Appreciate your call. God bless you, sir. Indeed, thank you very much. Oh, Prince has been quite comprehensive there. He touched on points that we also had made, which is that there seems to be a breakdown in communication. If, as we say in Nigeria, the whole, as if there's a half, the whole police commissioner in that place said that there was no signal, no
But is
notice.
it routine to inform him or to inform people in that state?
The base, the Air Force base commandant in that place also clearly did not know what the minister subsequently was saying, that we have given, including Caverton, a number of private air operators, helicopter services, permission to land in there. Now, the point that is not being addressed in the midst of all of this, maybe it will be addressed in court, and maybe that is the perspective of Governor Wike, is that we have an emergency here. These are not normal times. And that I don't know how the case is going to unfold. Why are we going to be sticklers for the rules? The governor clearly thinks that, well, Group Captain Ojukwu to refer to that point, that he is the chief security officer. And maybe something akin to the president being commander-in-chief. So since you can't call him commander-in-chief of the state, the best you can do is call him chief security officer of the state. He's taking this very, very carefully. And so probably, if the logic is allowable, I'm not going to allow anything happen in my environment. We have a call coming in from Kaduna. I heard Kaduna.
Yeah.
David in Kaduna, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Okuyori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, Okuyori.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make a contribution in respect of the call of this issue in Rivers State.
Yes.
Yeah, my concern is that this victory between federal and state government is really giving me a cause of concern. Hadn't been this victory is managed properly, I don't think it will really lead to all this arraignment and minister coming with dangerous information or dangerous acting. I think there's a need for
the minister said the lapses were dangerous.
Yes. So I think there's a need for synergy between the governor and the federal government. All this victory can be managed with this communication effectiveness.
Okay. That's, yes. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Keeping it short and short and sweet. Now, quite frankly, there's a lot of truth in there. Somebody didn't tell somebody.
Obviously.
Is what this is all about.
Obviously.
Governor Wike doesn't have the right, I believe, if he had been called by the right authority and told that, oh, by the way, these people are landing, because he would have said, no, you can't land, you can't land, you can't land. I have done this, I have instructed, but then he would have been set right. Say, no, you can't. You can't do that. We're telling you that they are landing because of this and because of that and because of this and because of that. And besides, you are. So there was no communication.
As a matter of fact, let me make a point clear. Some weeks or almost a month ago, when the governor first issued the lockdown order, he said that the NCAA has the right to deal with flight issues. But that when they land at the airport, then the Omagua airport, he said they won't be allowed to operate whoever came to, you know, to the airport wouldn't be allowed to walk about in the state.
Yes.
He made that clear. In this statement too, yesterday, that was issued last night, they said it is not within our purview to determine who flies in or flies out. But we must be taken into confidence. The issue is this.
That's his issue.
These people who arrived in Port Harcourt, 2 pilots and 10 others that were taken to court, having landed at the Air Force Base, a federal, you know,
facility,
they would still have left the base to go to Port Harcourt.
Yes.
That was where the governor's powers would have come into play. And the governor wouldn't have been able to say, don't come. At the most, they would have landed. But you see, now, so even if we want to take the minister's word for it and the governor's word for it, how about the commander? I don't want to bring him too much into the picture. He must be in some kind of, you know, now. What happened that he had to call the governor to now come to the facility, going by the account that we have had. And if these people also had their papers, how come they were not making recourse to Abuja, at least as far as we know for now? So to put this blame on the doorstep of the governor or even of the minister may not give us a solution. In my modest opinion, Uncle Yori, I have tried to, you know, be as balanced as I can be. Both parties only have to come together to say, okay, you know what? Yeah. We know the truth. We didn't do this well, and perhaps we overreacted. Entering overdrive endangers the war on COVID-19.
Jaji in IKEJA, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ogami. How are you?
Thank you very much for calling in. Madam Jaji.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Please proceed.
Well, I've been watching and listening to all the contributions being made with regard to this issue in Port Harcourt. As far as I'm concerned, it's a flash in the pan. And the governor is just trying to, you know, draw attention to himself. As far as I'm concerned, Port Harcourt is as important as Kano and Lagos. So the governor is now feeling flustered as to why Rivers State was not included in the arrangement, lockdown arrangement. And Lagos State was given 10 billion naira too. So maybe he wants that one too. But the way he's going about it is very, very wrong. If there's any law between that of the federal and the state, if there's any clash, that of the federal government takes precedence. It's in the Constitution. So whatever Wike is doing over there now is just drawing attention to himself. Being a lawyer is a disappointment. Whatever grudges he has with the federal government, they should settle it amicably.
Well,
people's lives are being, you know, threatened here.
Okay.
This is not the first.
You jumped in there with some judgment, Madam Jaji. You jumped in there with some judgment, calling the governor a disappointment. But, you know, thank you very much for calling in. That, you know, position doesn't represent the position of TVC or indeed this program. But that was entirely the opinion of the contributor. Well, time is fast running out. I don't know if clearly mistakes have been made. Where they were made is not for us to say. The matter is in court. In fact, if it wasn't serious and important, it would be almost funny. But it isn't funny because the governor has he has his own points. He's saying that he's responsible for the health. COVID-19 is an emergency. He's going to be leading from the front. And then maybe there were some lapses in communication. But I like when the ministers use the word dangerous in terms of omissions. And because if these statutes, these permissions exist, and the commandant there, Air Force commandant, didn't know about it, neither did the commissioner of police know about it, then it certainly is a dangerous break in communication. Well, we've almost run out of time, but did you want to wrap up with something?
Yeah, I would like to say that dealing with an emergency, you need communication, and I think you need to pay attention to fine details. Now, it may well just be that some secretary or some desk officer who should have encoded or written something across
some administrative aspect,
minor administrative could have resulted in this whole national burden.
Okay.
Let's find a way to plug in all these holes.
Indeed.
We don't know when the virus is going to work out of Nigeria, but for now, let us leave no stone unturned.
So I want to thank you very much, Cyril. So that's our program. We want to thank Group Captain John Ojukutu, retired aviation expert who joined us, member of the Aviation Roundtable, as well as all the other callers who reached us to chip in their piece and their perspective on this whole matter. We'll see how it goes. The pilots, the captains were, the helicopter captains, pilots were remanded till where?
May.
No, I mean May. There has to be a rapprochement. There has to be some sort of a rapprochement.
As soon as possible. That's what I'll be saying.
That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. Now, the other matter that Prince brought up, we didn't address it. We couldn't. The holiday. We have a holiday.
No. Mr. Prince, please, until otherwise...
15 seconds.
Keep watching TVC News. Yes. Until otherwise advised, stay home.
There will be clarification, but until otherwise advised, stay home. Keep everything, let it be as usual. Until otherwise advised.
Yes.
That's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.